from the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
It's always shocking when something like this happens.
It's your morning addiction.
The people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
Every single senator, every Democrat, and every Republican supports the bipartisan DHS funding bill.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Notion that any of us are concerned with so-called criticism from these phony Republicans as it relates to anything that has been said, certainly as it relates to the comment related to maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, in connection with the redistricting battle that Republicans launched. I stand by it. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism.
Well, it seems like Hakeem Jeffries still wants to wage war, doubling down on comments made last week ahead of the shooting inside the Washington Hilton. He doesn't give a darn about it. He just doesn't give a darn. So very interesting. And we have now the rhetoric coming out of Jimmy Kimmel going after the president's wife, basically calling her an expectant widow in a parody of the comedian speaking at that dinner last week, doubling down on it. Melania coming out asking for her resignation. There was a lot bubbling in D.C., and Stephanie Bell, there's a lot bubbling in the legislature, too, as they get down to work. They're maybe going to work out something on the reconciliation front. Not sure.
Well, I think they had a party with the governor yesterday, if I was reading the governor's social media correctly. So they weren't working very hard.
No.
It was nice of the governor to welcome them. I think he welcomes I think it's an annual tradition that he welcomes them and their families every year to the mansion.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot to be done.
And
maybe it's a good thing that they're not doing anything.
Well, it's not. Well,
but they still haven't finalized the budget that they are constitutionally mandated to do.
I know they've got to do that by May when?
6th.
Oh, that's just next Friday, right?
Yep.
Oh boy, John, what kind of fireworks are you hearing? John Marsh, always an insider. He's got every.
I might have that date wrong. It might. I don't know. Yeah. It's here shortly.
It's coming up. Yeah. John,
2 weeks to go at the State House. Yep.
I think it might be May 1st. Someone listening, tell me what that deadline is. It's before the end of session.
Well, but we're down on the home stretch, right? And every year in the past few years, it's been extremely contentious. We
heard from everybody from President Pro Tem Cindy O'Loughlin right on down, and Senator Curtis Trent, when we asked them about some of the back burner bills about the car inspections, personal property taxes, real property taxes. Both of them and others point to the specter this time of year of omnibus bills. The bills were single subject, and they were good to go, and all of a sudden, going into the last tail end of session, a bunch of stuff gets tacked on and they go down in flames.
I will say, apparently they worked right through the tornado warnings in Jefferson City
yesterday.
They did. They just kept on rolling, and I thought, it's awfully weird that the government is telling me I should take shelter and the government's not taking shelter because those sirens were rolling yesterday. I just took my computer and my little mobile office down to the basement of my office building and kept on working. But I think they went off, John, in downtown 4 more times, maybe.
Yeah, they were. It was pretty active. Had a tornado, computerized rotation, is I think what the
computer indicated. Yeah. Rotation, is that? I keep hearing that same term over and over.
But nobody spotted funnel clouds and nothing touched down in the immediate area. But it doesn't mean when the sirens sound and they issue the alert that you should take cover.
I think it's radar indicated rotation. Maybe.
There you go.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ashland seems to have been right in the path here as of late. So I was in the basement in Jefferson City because I hadn't made it home yet, and the rest of my people were in the basement in Ashland. They were also under a tornado warning. Lots of activity yesterday. But it seems like, John, that St. Louis fared better than what they are expecting as of yesterday morning, right?
Yeah, St. Louis did pretty good. They kind of dodged the bullet. But, boy, if you head north across the Missouri River up towards Glasgow and Slater up in there, they took it hard. And the 40-year-old, I think Randy's probably familiar with it, the big grain elevator business, the big complex there in Slater, it was hammered, if not destroyed, heavily damaged.
And then, they were. Did anything touch down in the Troy area? Because I know there was a lot of warnings and concerns.
Well, they're still working on trying to confirm.
Yeah.
Were they straight line winds? Were they tornadoes? So they're still trying to get it all confirmed. I know Glasgow took it hard. Slater took it hard up that way, and our general neck of the woods, mid-Missouri, did okay, but boy, Don Luzader reporting pretty hairy down in southwest Missouri as well.
And lots of flash flooding going on in the various areas. I didn't hear about any. Yeah, hit big, Pomme de Terre and
they said
Eldorado
baseball
Springs.
size. Baseball size down that way.
Yeah. Speaking of baseball, the Cardinals are doing okay, huh, Drake?
Bump, 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 bump.
I think they've been actually holding their own in the rankings.
Yeah, we're in the hardest division. I mean, it's really funny. You look at the worst team in our division, and they are a million times better than like half the league.
Yeah.
And I think pretty close to the bottom is your Kansas City Royals. So,
well, but they're going to get a new stadium. That'll change everything.
No, well, that's actually a thing. For football and all of that, it's kind of ridiculous. It's just fans. They're actually moving in like the outfield, so there will be more home runs. They did that right after the big problem last year was their offense. So they're a bunch of cheaters. They're slimy, and they don't know how to play baseball.
Boy, sound like a real American League Central fan there, ladies and gentlemen.
Real fan. Well, we're going to have some fun with two Erics today. Today is Eric, buy one, get one. Well, yeah, it is free to listen to this and the other Zimmer stations. They bring you local and live and free radio. But we're having Eric Erickson, who's going to be at the May 6th event in Springfield. I hope that you come out to that. That's going to be a lot of fun, the Politics and Pints with Eric Erickson. He'll be joining us at 7:08, right? Is that right, Drake? Or 7:25? Yep. And then Eric Burleson, Congressman Burleson, be with us at 8 o'clock. I want to talk with him about, he's really been active on the whole missing scientist things and what's happening.
He has.
And ask him about the shooting incident. Will they use reconciliation? Of course, it's a Senate side of the thing, but I'm sure he's in touch with it. Will they use reconciliation in D.C. to try to finally get DHS paid, get the Secret Service paid? Apparently, these guys are putting charges for official things, maybe for their expenses if they're, on duty and they get lunch or whatever. I don't know how that all works, but they're putting expenses on their private cards. That affects there's a lot that can affect. I mean, it can affect their credit score, and they shouldn't have to take personal burden to do that. That's according to the Fox News reporting. Maybe they'll get something done. Mike Johnson, I think, was moving towards recognition that that's going to happen. John Thune talking about that. This is the longest shutdown, I think, that I can recall. I don't remember anything like that. The thing is, it's only a partial shutdown, so it hasn't gotten to play. But, boy, in the light of what happened on Saturday evening and all of the fallout from that and the recognition that these guys, they put their own life in harm's way to try to protect the president, the first family, the vice president.
Well, I think they said, I saw a piece the other day on it talking about the Secret Service shortly after the assassination attempt, and said they'd been working on emergency funding that was sort of helping to cover their salaries, but that runs out tomorrow.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I know Mark Wade Mullen's been beating the drum pretty much as soon as he was sworn in. It's like, I'm running out of money. I remember that. I didn't know the deadline is now, or, pretty much we're there. Yeah.
Their so-called slush fund, I guess, runs out at the end of April.
Holy cow. Well, you'd like to just see this thing resolved. And I really am troubled to hear Hakeem Jeffries doubling down on this. I mean, clearly, when he uses, we're at maximum war right now, those kind of things. I guess that's just the story of political rhetoric, right? I mean, that's just what it is. In the latest Polymarket polling, by the way, not that they know the end all and be all to where things are headed, But Republicans' odds of keeping the Senate are back on the rise. According to Polymarket, though, it's 49%. So they're still not, in the majority on the Polymarket anyway, not favored to win, but it is rising a little bit recently. These people on the left that think that it's a good plan to just be anti-Trump all the time, I don't know how that's ultimately going to work out when people go to the ballot box. Yes, have there been some hiccups and starts and stops with the tariffs, with the gas prices on the heels and in the wake and in the ongoing Iran conflict? Yeah, that hurts. But I think a lot of folks know that there are bright days that are, already here in terms of borders being closed, the illegals, many, most of them violent criminals being deported, many self-reporting, and America with a new posture of poise and America first, and calling out people who have been pretty much riding on our coattails and our financial wallet, namely Europe, for a long, long time. All that, I think, feels pretty good to me. If we can just figure out how to get this Iran thing over, I don't know. Oil keeps climbing, $108 last night when I finally got to sleep. And Stephanie will be reporting on that at 8:08 when there'll be the morning bell, see how things are going in the markets. But Iran continues to be recalcitrant. They continue to just say, we're not the problem. And somehow they are stringing Donald Trump along. More and more people in America and others around the world saying, guys, either back off or don't, to do something. But nothing's really changed. The drug prices are rising in Iran. I saw a report on that. More strain on the civilian population there. The blackout now for 2 months in Iran on the internet. So the population is beginning to feel squeezed. Will they finally come out in the streets again and take back their country? Continue to watch that. I know we're talking with Steve Bucci tomorrow morning. Thursday. We'll be talking with Steve and getting the latest on that, too. So we have Eric Erickson, who will be there at the Politics and Pints on May 6th. During the break, why don't you jump on to the 93.3 KWTO.com website or the Facebook page. Register for that. You don't have to pay anything. Hors d'oeuvres are free. And come out and say hi to us and Elijah and Eric Erickson, who'll be with us later on, and Eric Burleson, Congressman Burleson, after that. Daily DC Rundown coming up.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
including attempting to assassinate the president, which carries a life sentence during his first court appearance in Washington, D.C.
Wow, lots going on in D.C. Let's catch up with the daily D.C. rundown. Stephanie.
In the fallout of the attempted assassination this weekend, we are now seeing Republicans push a bill to build a 90,000 square foot secure ballroom at the White House. This is led by Lindsey Graham and Missouri's own Eric Schmidt. I had to laugh because one of the reporters yesterday said it was Eric Schmid.
Schmid?
Schmid with a T, but it had a D in there. And I was like, who's that? Who is that? But they are suggesting that this should include an underground military-style complex, a Secret Service annex, and it's designed for large, high-security gatherings. They've got a funding plan that includes national park fees, customs fees, and private donations for non-security extras. Folks are now saying this isn't just, something for fun parties. This is a national security concern, not a vanity project. It's backed by Missouri's Eric Schmidt. Katie Britt is also involved. And even John Fetterman, your favorite, Randy, has signaled some support. There's already some opposition forming. There's been opposition all along to the ballroom. So we'll see how that proposal lands. We are also seeing continued infighting, especially amongst the House Republicans. They've got a lot going on. They have, of course, the FISA surveillance program is set to expire. DHS funding deadline is looming, and now there are disputes arising concerning the Farm Bill. Mike Johnson's got a lot on his hands, and at the same time, the Senate continues to push ahead without the House on some of these issues, but the point is there's really not a clear path on a lot of these very major issues, and Congress is getting ready, I believe, for a recess before too long. So there's a lot on their plate. Again, we are on a 70-plus day partial shutdown of Homeland Security. And as you mentioned earlier, Randy, Secret Service funding is now a major concern because of the weekend attack. And what we're finding out is the Secret Service could soon miss paychecks. So folks are saying the time to act is now. Although the Senate had already passed a funding bill unanimously, the House is refusing to pass it as the Senate wants it, and they want to change that bill to include ICE and Border Patrol funding. At the same time, we got a signal from Iran yesterday that they are offering apparently to open the Strait of Hormuz, but they have conditions that we have to end the blockade, we have to pause the war, and we can't talk about the nukes. Trump's team is not satisfied. So energy prices continue and oil prices continue to spike, and there's really no clear path forward there either. Randy, you mentioned earlier the Jimmy Kimmel's jokes about Melania. Trump is calling on Disney to fire Jimmy Kimmel. He's really been in a lot of hot water lately.
Yeah, ABC, they pulled him earlier. Now there's calls to pull him again, but it's not coming from...
Remember his comments he made after the Charlie Kirk killing.
He's just distasteful. I think he should go. Also, we are hearing about yesterday in Virginia, the Supreme Court heard arguments over the Virginia redistricting map, and now Ron DeSantis has proposed a new map in Florida that could shrink Democrats from 8 seats to just 4, essentially, negating what happened in Virginia. And also, King Charles is addressing Congress today, and the Senate, again, plans to vote on the FISA surveillance extension. Lots going on.
Well, Caroline Levitt, that's the Daily DC Rundown. Caroline Levitt came back from maternity leave early, sort of. She extended her activity before going on maternity leave again after the shooting incident to take on the rhetoric-crazed Democrats. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Up, Missouri.
Are you digitally distracted? A study shows that 62% of us say that we are digitally distracted. This is Shift's SHIFT''S, State of Browsing Report, surveyed 1,000 U.S. adults, and constant notifications are at the top of the list. 25% people are bothered by that. Social media overload, about the same. Falling into news rabbit holes. Oh, Stephanie, you know about that? I know about that. 18%. For many Americans, and I think employers know this, for many of you who are overseeing, managing, hiring people, there's no doubt about it. 40% of users say they spend most of their browser time on personal activities, while only a quarter use it primarily for work. And here's what's worse. The survey found that almost 50% say that browsers both distract and help them focus equally. It's interesting. One thing's for sure, though, the data is pretty clear. A study out of Irvine, University of California, Irvine, found that it takes on average about 23 minutes to get, if you're deeply involved in a deep project, you're crunching numbers, you're working on a spreadsheet, you're working on a project, you're writing a paper, it can take on average 23 minutes if you're distracted to get back into something. Let's say you're writing a paper and you go to check out a tab to do a research, check a fact out, make sure you've got your P's and Q's right. And then all of a sudden you get back and it takes that long to get back into it and fully immerse. Among millennials, Drake, 35% regularly feel burned out. 30% often struggle to connect because of digital. How do you feel about that? Do you manage your notifications, or
they're weak?
Do they manage you?
They're a weak generation. They don't know how to handle what they've created. That's what I think.
Almost 2/3 of us say that we're getting recurring digital burnout.
I think Gen Z is. We're made for this. This is what we're made for. We've evolved to this point where we can use technology to the best advantage, and the distractions doesn't matter to us because we're Gen Z is just better. Millennials are having trouble with this because they just can't handle what they created.
Stephanie is our digital diva here on the program. Do you ever feel digitally burned out or over notified or distracted?
No.
No?
I control my technology.
Yeah? Okay.
All of my notifications are off. My phone doesn't ring, it doesn't buzz. I don't get interrupted. And if I'm really working on something important, my phone is not right in front of me.
Yeah. I think there's almost become an expectation that in order to be an effective professional worker bee, whatever you're doing, if you're in the world, you have to be of the technology, to paraphrase a religious phrase. But think about it. Someone texts you. it happens on the program. Sometimes we'll text and we don't get an answer back, and in the meantime, you've had to make a decision. And then when the person innocently says, "Well, I was immersed in a project. I was in court. I was covering a news story." And it's like, well, okay. When you're not able to answer someone back and they make a decision, how do you feel about that? Does that trouble you? Or do you understand that everyone's has so many options, so many incoming and outgoing that you just can't, there's going to be lapses in two-way communication? No?
Randy, I just ignore your text messages. I
know,
see them during the show.
That. Yeah.
I just ignore them. That's not the problem.
Well, those of us in a 24-hour news cycle, and we've just gotten off a couple days of severe weather and all, it's an on-call 24/7 kind of deal. And when you get an alert or something, you say, "Well, is that the boss, or is that a tornado warning, or whatever?" So yeah.
I was turkey hunting the other day, and I actually put down the phone for about 2 hours and just didn't even look at it. It was like, holy cow. What a great world it would be if we didn't have to be tied to that thing. Eric Erickson coming up next hour.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. There was a reporter in the room who was under a table, and when the shots went off and everybody's hiding, she said, "I hope they killed the Orange MF." That was a journalist in the room who was hoping that when she stood up, the President of the United States would be dead. So I'm coming to a public venue where I know it might be hostile to expose myself to an honest dialogue, an open dialogue. If you ask me a question and I don't have an answer, I will get you something in writing, or we can talk on the phone. But when you have members of the press openly enticing, hoping, talking about killing the chief executive officer of this country, again, Muslim, Jew, Hindu, I don't care. That's a problem.
I'm sorry, what did she say?
I hope they killed the Orange MF.
That's Representative Andy Ogles from Tennessee, Tennessee's 5th District, holding forth at a press conference. He looks like he's sitting around a conference table, maybe with some journalists, in the wake of the shooting the other day that happened outside the ballroom, but on the way to it at the basement of the Washington Hilton the other day. Think about that. We have press members, if that's true. I mean, would a representative make that up? As best I can tell, this looks very authentic. I don't think this is AI'd. We've been talking this morning about the state of politics, the state of political discourse, the state of our back and forth on each side of the ideological aisle. And has the fevered pitch gotten so high that the fever is going to burn us up as a country on this America's 250th birthday? By the way, we're going to have some nice political discourse along with some ice cream at the Ice Cream Social in Columbia tonight. Hope you'll be there. That'll be at 5:30 at the American Legion Post. You don't have to register. Just come and bring your ice cream appetite. And I don't know, red, white, and blue ice cream, I guess. I think there'll be some tiger ice cream, too.
It's
I don't
in
know.
my top 5 of favorite foods.
Yeah,
ice cream in any form. Soft serve, like the regular old Central Dairy, gelato, healthier ice cream, honey ice cream. It's its own food group.
Now, when
sound like Bubba from Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Or Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to have a cone, what kind of a cone? Are you a honey cone? Or are you a crispy, the old-fashioned cone?
I don't do the cones.
A cake cone? No, just
like a waffle cone?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, waffle cone. Have to do the waffle cone.
No. I don't.
No?
That seems like one step too far.
Mm-hmm.
I just want the ice cream.
Drake, you like the waffle cone, or do you
I'm sorry, can we go back to that, Stephanie? You don't do the waffle cone?
I don't know. I just get it in a little cup.
What? I mean, that's like half the fun of eating ice cream. It's like eating the cone through, like, it's...
There's a problem with that, though. You know what? I like the cone, too, now and then. I tend to agree with Stephanie.
Well, not always. Like, you get a bowl when you're at home, but if you're going out to get ice cream...
My children order a waffle cone.
Yeah, and it's awesome. It's awesome. You get a bowl whenever you're at home, but if you're going out for ice cream and you say, "Can I get it in a bowl, please?" I will take that and I will throw it on the ground and make you reorder.
Well, to me,
what are they serving?
They
at
have
the
the waffle bowls too, though.
Yeah.
Waffle bowls.
What are they serving at the ice cream social? They're not. Are they serving ice cream?
I don't
cones?
know. I have this irrational thought as I decide between the cone and the just put it in a cup. I start thinking about the sin that I'm about to indulge in calorically.
See,
and I think, well, it's somehow a little better if I don't eat the extra added calories of the cone.
And my favorite ice cream dessert you can't get with a cone, because I love a vanilla scoop of ice cream with a shot of espresso over the top.
Oh.
An affogato.
Oh, okay.
And that would be messy in a cone.
One large waffle cone, 120 calories.
That's why I don't eat the additional. I've already blown my budget.
Part of the experience, Drake.
Now, it really is.
There's a problem, though, with some of the cones, especially with the cake cones. You start eating the cone, and then you undo that little wrapper that's on there, but there's always some glue and a little fuzz from the wrapper that sticks there. I don't like eating that. I don't want to eat that.
Just get the ones that don't have the
Fiber.
label on them.
Fiber. And horse hooves.
There you go.
What kind of glue is that anyway? What do they use to stick that on there?
I'm sure it has to be something that you can eat. I mean, I
don't know.
I'd be very surprised if the FDA would allow them to sell that.
All right, so it sounds like we have the cone wars. First of all, to cone or not to cone? That is the question. And secondly,
to dip or not to dip. Didn't you tell me that Helene likes a
Helene,
chocolate dip?
I have driven miles off of our course on a long road trip to get the dip cone.
There you
Oh,
go.
that was my favorite thing to get.
How about the dipped waffle cone? Yeah, where they dip the waffle cone in the chocolate and the sprinkles and then put the ice cream in.
There's a place right off the highway when you're heading down towards Destin that you can get, I forget where it is, somewhere I think I don't know, but you can get it very close. That's one of my favorite places to stop at. But you can't get a dip cone everywhere.
And then the question is it like gelato custard? We haven't talked about custard or, plain old ice cream. What's your fave? I
tend to avoid the ice cream that isn't made, or the custard that isn't made with just pure. I want pure ingredients. I don't want high fructose
pure
corn
ingredients,
syrup.
You're not saying made with raw milk.
I don't want
Pasteurized.
carrageenan. I don't want high fructose corn syrup. I don't want that. Just cream, eggs, sugar, that kind of stuff.
Texter
Honey.
Dave says Randy is talking about Bruster's ice cream near Destin.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Does
there
that
you go.
sound right?
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our well-traveled wake-up family.
Yeah.
Well, now they have, I think it was in
That's
Destin,
it.
somewhere down there, and they have those like milkshake shops. Have you seen those?
No.
And it comes out in this huge thing, and it has it looks like, like the really, really fancy Bloody Marys that basically has like a meal on the top. Now they have these milkshake shops that look like that.
Oh.
I bet they're 1,000 calories.
You mean the structure itself looks like a shake?
It's got stuff shooting out and sitting on the top, and I'll have to find a picture of one of them.
They call them milkshake bars.
Yeah.
So we have
the Yard milkshake bar. I knew that was what it. Look at that.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, that thing looks like a 4th of July firework in a jar.
I ordered a Bloody Mary thing one time, and it came, and they had somehow stuck a bunch of sliders on a stick, and then it had like a container of fries coming in. I mean, it was like a whole meal plus it was for.
Sounds like a Guy Fieri kind of a thing.
Yeah, it does.
This milkshake has a whole donut on the top.
Oh my God. That looks like an Iowa State Fair kind of a thing, right?
Ooh, guess what's coming up in Missouri?
When is that?
Not the Iowa State Fair, right?
No.
I'm just trying to get the same. Okay.
It's almost fair time, friends. I mean, we got lots of county fairs, and then we have the state fair, and then the rodeo. Y'all, it's going to be a good summer.
Can I make an admission on air real quick about that?
Don't tell me you've never been to a fair.
No, I've never been to the Missouri Fair, State Fair.
Oh,
Really?
It took me a while to get there. We were not fair people growing up, but I haven't missed one in a long time. You're missing out.
It's not like I'm not a fair person. I've been to the Iowa State Fair at least 7 times. Never the Missouri one.
Well, Jennifer and I are going up like we normally do, and you're invited because everyone's invited to the fair.
Yeah, I was
Take
about to
him
say
to the ham breakfast. He'll be a
That's
convert.
what I'm thinking.
He'll
There
be
you
a
go.
convert. Well, what kind of milkshakes do they have there? Because I might just...
I don't know about milkshakes, but they definitely got fried Oreos and funnel. Oh, I had a funnel cake the last time I was there. Nothing really beats a funnel cake.
Speaking of vices,
Sorry, about
everyone
that.
has their
Can you
vice,
tell
right?
I'm hungry.
Who doesn't have their vice, right? For some, it's food. For some, it's the dispensary. For others, it's the bar or the liquor store. Everyone's got their vice, right? Well, Texas Tech QB standout, he transferred from Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby, has entered a gambling addiction program. Did you see this, Drake? I thought you'd find this interesting.
This is hilarious.
Well, this guy apparently was like a pretty top pick, a top hot shot, right?
I mean, yeah, he's pretty big. Like how do I say this nicely? If it wasn't for the gambling, did he graduate?
Well, I don't know.
Or is he transferring?
No, he transferred from Cincinnati to Texas Tech.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's the Cincinnati quarterback. He's really good.
Yeah.
Really stupid as well.
And so he checked into a residential facility, and I guess he's trying to probably save some things and save him his hide, because Texas Tech said they're committed to supporting Brendan through his recovery process and ensure his long-term health and well-being. Now, I read a little further about this. Aren't there rules against gambling in any way, shape, or form that really erode, if not eliminate, your eligibility for? I don't know.
I mean, does it say he was gambling on sports?
Yes.
Yeah, it specified that he gambled on Indiana games, which is hilarious that they went undefeated and,
ESPN reported he was in line to make, more than $5 million this year at Texas Tech. So if you're going to make that kind of money, why are you gambling? What are you doing? You're making plenty of money. Why would you threaten the very goose that lays your golden egg?
Because he's a stud.
Why do people drink too much? It's an addiction.
He's a stud, Randy. He does what he wants, where he wants. If they don't let him play there, he'll go be a walk-on somewhere else, and it'll be amazing. I mean, this guy is peak. It's just peak. He's the best ever.
I don't know, John. I would argue that a lot of people drink or get into, self-medication. I know this for a fact. I mean, it's a fact. I see it in the office a lot. Self-medication for, stressful situations. They're on divorce, they get fired, something bad in their life. But why would you indulge in something like this if your life is on, you're going, man, you got the world on a string. I mean, why would you do this? You got it made.
No, problem gambling is an addiction, just like being a drunk or taking pills or whatever.
Drake, tell us
about
this.
Look at Tiger Woods.
Yeah, there's a good example.
Tiger Woods.
That's a shame. So they'll probably find a way to give him a pass because he's a especially good player. Corruption reigns everywhere. If he were a bench sitter, he'd be out. They'd be like, hey, go pick up your test tubes and graduated cylinders, become an engineer, become a chemical engineer.
Yep, that's it on your eligibility.
Yeah,
See you
you're
later.
Done. You're done. Oh, boy. It's crazy, huh? Back with more in a few on Wake Up Missouri. Stay tuned.
It's
Who is beginning to get fond of Bill Maher? I am. I don't know. For a while, he was a more hateful guy. But I think he's maybe found his senses. And thanks to Drake, we had to edit out a little expletive. He tends to spew those a little bit on his program. But he's firing back at some of the new generation that are so anti-American, and some of the youngsters who are just on this America's 250th birthday. They abuse the privilege of freedom of speech and of criticism of the government and so forth by being just hateful about the whole idea of America and the very things that they're using to denigrate America. Here it is.
I want to first of all say something about Western civilization. Kids, you don't know what is. And no, really, they think Western means white and white means bad. Kids, first of all, everything bad that white people did, people of color did it too. The Japanese before World War II and during World War II and Genghis Khan, and I could go on and on. You know, the left is very down on America, very down on the West. And it's ironic because the West has also given us everything that makes your life good here. Don't ask Billie Eilish or Chappell Roan about what the Western values are, because they'll just say it's about oppression. Right. But it's not about oppression. It's about rule of law. It's about respect for minorities. It's about democracy. It's about scientific inquiry. These are all good things that came from the Western world. I wish that schools would teach that again.
Wow.
Amen.
Some real sense from Bill Maher, right? I mean, look, I love a true old-fashioned liberal like Bill Maher. He's absolutely, you know, he says it once in a while. He says, look, let's talk about the greatness of America that we can all agree on and stop just always being the resistance, no matter what. Everything's bad about America. That's what we're hearing from a lot of the youth on the left and a lot of the oldsters on the left. They want to rewrite the Constitution. There's constitutional law professors, Steph, I've heard say that, right? It's outdated. It's too old. Time to redo it all. And it's ironically, it's lost on them that the reason that it is about your rights coming from God, not from the government. That is the fundamental cornerstone foundation, 20 feet deep, extra reinforced. What else can I say? Pillars that really support the edifice of this great country. And I think those of us that want to try to return to a constitutional and more originalist mentality about America are scratching our heads saying, you guys are going to lose it all. If you think tyranny is fine, if you think political violence is okay, if you think, we talked about it last week, if you think micro-looting is okay because you don't like the man, the employer and what they're doing to employees or the prices they're getting charging you. If you don't like your health care and you think it's okay, but how about the whole movement to justify Mangione? Not Chuck, Luis. I mean, there's people out there, there's that whole movement. And that's one thing that we've talked about is this guy who did the shooting at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. Is he going to be now reveled as some kind of a hero?
Martyr?
Yeah. Sometimes you wish they wouldn't live because it gives someone a cause to celeb, right? I don't know. What do y'all think? 573-874-9390. Be back. Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. I'm Randy, along with Stephanie, John, Drake, and you, most importantly. You can call us at 800-529-5572. You can text us, 573-874-9390. You can say hi and eat some ice cream tonight at the America's 250 Ice Cream Social in Columbia at the American Legion Post, Turning Point USA, the Boone County Central Committee of the Republican Party, and Wake Up Missouri sponsoring that. So hope that you'll come out and say hi. It'll be fun. And I bet one of the things we'll be talking about, this would be an interesting thing to talk. I can't wait to talk with you guys about this tonight, if I see you there. What do you think about the open primary versus the caucus system or the closed primary? Basically keeping the parties, or an open primary system. Stephanie, they were discussing this yesterday in the Capitol.
They were.
A Senate committee is debating a bill that would return, well, we would join 14 other states with a Super Tuesday presidential primary in 2028. That's Rudy? Is that our friend Rudy Veit?
I believe so.
Well, I know that he supports that. I don't know if that's his bill. But I, for one, am not for that because I think it gives a chance for people to cross the lines and, Democrats to elect an unelectable Republican, let's say, I'm not too happy about that. What do you think?
So one of the arguments against getting rid of it years ago was the cost. The primary would cost the state $9 million, and it's like non-binding, right? So the effect of having a primary is kind of like, well, it doesn't bind your people. But there are good arguments for why we should have a primary instead of a caucus. Representative Veit has previously argued, the caucus, if you happen to be out of town that day, sick, you're a first responder, whatever, it eliminates some people from the pool of participation merely by virtue of work obligations or personal obligations. And so there are good arguments on both sides.
I'm for anything that presents a challenge and an opportunity for people to be engaged. And I'm for anything that that doesn't restrict people who are unengaged from voting, but certainly discourages people who could give a flip and they're more worried about whether they like waffle cones or cake cones than anything else in the world from voting. I think uninformed voters are the biggest threat to a democracy. We shouldn't do poll taxes. We shouldn't restrict people. Maybe someone should have to pass like knowing how many branches of, how many chambers of Congress there are and how many branches of government are. Shouldn't there be some constitutional requirement? You got to know something.
Wasn't it Nikki Haley who proposed that for candidates? Maybe like a test. Was it Nikki Haley? I think it was.
Everyone should know how many, how many senators does your state have? I don't know, but I sure like waffle cones.
It's about priorities is what it's about.
Okay, that's fine. But when you're talking about the existential matters of governance and whether you'd like this country to be alive for another 250 or whether you want it to crash and burn because we're all dumbing ourselves down, think about it.
Reframe politics is our whole world. We're all political nerds, and there are people out there who aren't going to be able to, name their local elected officials or be super informed. That we need those people, right? I need someone nerdy building rockets, and I need someone nerdy over at their MU reactor doing like cancer research, and I don't want their whole world to be politics, right? So, I don't expect people to be as informed as our Wake Up family
I didn't say that. I said minimally informed and at least aware of what the foundational pillars of our governance structure are.
Well, our government's set up in a way to pay for basic education for folks, but what is the phrase? You can bring a horse to water. Also, you can't fix low IQ people, really.
Wait, so you mean our state government is funded for that? Our federal government, there's nothing in the Constitution that talks about education funding. But yet uninformed people think that's the case. Right? They have no clue that the Constitution says nothing about paying for education or for health care or for, I could go on for another, segment.
John has a good point on the text line. He says, I am an informed and active voter, but I'm not about to spend a day at a caucus. And that's true. I think that's where the people who are pushing this bill were, because I know the last time we did it, because we don't do it that often, and they have to confirm that you're eligible to be there, and you have to sign the paperwork. In Boone County, I know, it was set to start it, and this is not the fault of the organizers. They had a lot of people show up, and we got started a little bit late. And for some of the, and so anyway, I think it started at like 8, and we were, I think, still going at noon. And another, they allow people to stand up and kind of speak on their candidate of choice. And to the extent that kind of got lengthy in other counties, it can be a half a day or more.
Well, perhaps the parties, if they want to get more people involved in their movement, should do it on a Tuesday, do it on a Wednesday, find some other mechanism so it's not on a Saturday. I don't care.
Well, that's the argument that Mid-Missouri State Rep Rudy Veit makes every year when he floats the idea of bringing back the presidential primary, to Missouri. And does it sail through? Hasn't in a while. And his take on it is, I think he said when he was on with us one time, said, well, my mom was involved in it, but she sure wouldn't have gone to a political caucus. And there's a lot of folks out there who feel that way.
And I would say to John that there's other ways you can be involved in the party. You can support a candidate. You can go out and knock on doors. You can, hand out flyers. You can donate. I'm concerned about the biggest thing I think that is my biggest criticism of the open primary system is the ability, and we've seen it happen, where Democrats cross the aisle and they vote for some loon.
And to be clear, this simply reinstates the presidential primary. Yeah. Doesn't have to do with like the Todd Aiken, Claire McCaskill type of stuff. But
well, that's a good point.
But I think I kind of like it being open. I want to be able to like vote for their bad candidate if I so choose. I also, I think so. And also I think maybe like what happens then to all the independents? I want the independent to be able to walk into that primary ballot box and vote for a Republican, right? And then because their candidate won, walk into the general election ballot box and vote for a Republican.
Is there anything that prevents it? Do you have to be a registered Republican to go to the caucus?
You have to sign a piece of paper that says you're a Republican.
Okay. That's a pretty low bar. I don't know.
Steph's a political animal by her own admission and all, and a lot of that's the folks you see at the caucuses when we've gone to cover them. I mean, it's the movers and the shakers. It's not just Joe Lunchbox.
I would say that's true in some way, but I would say in the last one, I went to Boone County and I saw a lot of friends there, but I saw a lot of people I had never seen in my life.
573-874-9390. Open primary or more of a closed system, either a closed primary or a closed or a caucus type thing. What do you think? And, well, the fact that it's limited to the president is probably a pretty good thing. Wouldn't involve the lower level,
I mean, since we have these kings floating around, I say the king just picks the candidate. Go away with do away with the primary altogether and just let Trump pick.
Yeah, there's a ceremony and Trump will put on his crown and kneeling before him will be Rubio and Vance, and he will take the sword like King Arthur.
Yeah, there you go.
And he will anoint.
We got King Charles in town. Why don't we just let him pick them all this week?
I like it.
I told Hallie they had like a B-roll, a picture of King Charles in his regalia with his crown on, announcing his visit to the U.S. yesterday. And I thought that almost looks Monty Python-esque in 2026, you know?
Yeah, it does.
It's very interesting. All right. Well, John, I'm glad you're an informed and active voter. And no matter how we may agree or disagree on the primary, please, by osmosis, spread that information and activism to others. It's a very, very important thing to do. Because if we don't hold our Constitution sacred and, politically speaking, secular-wise, and hold it near and dear, we'll lose it. Got to protect it. Very, very important. Lindy has some issue with you in the Missouri State Fair, Steph. I grew up in Iowa, moved to Mo in high school. Disappointment of going to the Missouri State Fair the first time.
I remember being a kid going to the Iowa State Fair, and it's quite the state fair.
I've never been. I have heard it's a big deal, but I mean the difference is Iowa doesn't really have anything else going on but the fair, right?
That's a good point. Lots of good sweet corn.
Des Moines is one of the wealthiest, little areas in the country. Did you know
I was about to say, Des Moines is like a beautiful city.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it is.
And they've got a college named after Drake.
No, couldn't be anything there, could it?
No.
John, what you got coming up?
Well, as your son-in-law can relate, airborne all the way. But watch out for the Jumbotron.
Oh, airborne, not the cold medicine. All right, we'll come back and listen to John in a moment on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up.
The spring football game at Georgia Tech was delayed after a former Army parachutist crashed into the scoreboard over the school's football field. Shortly before the game, which was scheduled to start at 3, 2 skydivers could be seen gliding over the field. First one flew over safely. Second one crashed into the scoreboard between the C and H in Tech. Emergency crews able to retrieve him safely and was not hospitalized. The Jumbotron, while the fans waited for the game to start, the Jumbotron displayed an explanation that said, "Attention, please. We are waiting for EMTs to get him out of the scoreboard. Thank you for your patience." Over on X, Virginia Tech Athletics said, "We are grateful to report the skydiver was safely secured and is currently stable. Primary focus remains his well-being." The retired Army Special Forces Master Sergeant involved had 1,100 jumps.
Wow.
Before this one, and said he got caught in a gust of crosswind and was trying to make it back over the stadium to land in a field nearby. Didn't quite work out.
Wonder what happened. So
minor injuries.
I wonder if the Jumbotron was injured, what the repair costs will be, and who covers that. I guess what do they have, like liability? Does the jumper have liability insurance?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
It was a private skydiving team. It wasn't the Army's.
Maybe Stephanie has an idea on that.
That's on my no list. You could not pay me to do anything that would require a parachute or a balloon. Hot air balloons. What's the thing you do over the water with the parachute? Parasailing? Nope. Yep. Skydiving? Nope. Nope.
We had a former morning show co-host who was into the tandem skydiving, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Did that with his dad on his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
No thanks.
I have a cousin pilot, and he got his start in the career, in piloting and all of that by flying those like the skydiving planes.
Yeah.
He said it's the most miserable thing he's ever done because the pressure change and all that.
Oh, I see.
You got to open up the door.
Does skydiving cancel out your life insurance?
I think scuba diving does. I don't think
it does?
If I perish scuba diving, I think I'm SOL, yeah.
If not, it's one heck of a premium every month.
Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I've flown with the Army Golden Knights on their airplane before, and they were more than welcome to go out and leave me on board the aircraft. That was just fine with me.
So, Stephanie, if there's damage to the structure, to the Jumbotron, and this is a private skydiving deal, I wonder who covers that.
I am not an insurance
Which
lawyer.
Liability? You want to speculate on it? No?
I don't.
I would bet they have all sorts of riders that say, not my responsibility. But we also won't sue you if the guy breaks his leg on your feet.
Yeah, I would think that's probably going to be on the diver team, the skydiver, yeah.
I was so glad when I saw this story whenever it broke because every year there's something like really weird and crazy that happens with college football in the offseason. Like last season, I don't remember but I think it was Virginia Tech. Their big song is Enter Sandman. They had Metallica come in and do a concert there. They recorded on like the earthquake scale. That's how loud it got in there. So, I mean, we had a stage thing that was great and all, but you can't make this up. An Army skydiver hits the scoreboard
a retired
in a spring
Army
game.
Skydiver.
Yeah, we're so back. College sports is back.
Probably Tony Lupo's fault. So it's the weather's fault, right? They created a cross draft right at the wrong time.
I blame Tony Lupo as well.
I don't know. Tony's got a lot of splaining to do for the weather so far this year. I don't know.
Yeah, he does.
I'm tired of sitting in the basement.
He was on the air with Nolan yesterday and said he said his take on it was that La Nina has kind of run a different track and is kind of becoming a clone of El Nino this time around. So it's been a rainy one. He did say he thinks we're pretty much out of the drought thanks to all the rain.
I wonder what this portends for the summer. It seems like
it portends long grass. I was looking at my yard this morning and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's been too wet to mow, but like it's growing like crazy.
I'm trying to experiment this year on my grass.
Would you buy some goats?
Well, I was successfully, over the past few years, I thought I would be smart and cut it super short so I wouldn't have to cut it as much. Well, that allowed the crabgrass to grow.
Yeah.
So
There
then
you
I
go.
killed the crabgrass. Now I've had to plant new grass. So I'm cutting it so long it looks like it wasn't cut.
Like native grass.
It looks like decorative grass. Congressman Eric Burleson joins us on the Matters O' the Day when we return on the Zimmer Radio Network.
From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters,
It's always shocking when something like this happens.
it's your morning addiction.
The people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team.
Every single senator, every Democrat, and every Republican supports the bipartisan DHS funding bill.
And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
I want to make this clear. This man was a floor above the ballroom with hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life.
Well, the shooter there in the Washington Hilton basement on the way to the ballroom was arraigned yesterday. And it's the talk of the town. Congressman Eric Burleson joins us now to talk about the state of our safety, of our security in these United States, and other matters such as disappearing scientists. Lots to talk about, Congressman. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be on.
What are your thoughts in the wake of this averted tragedy? I mean, it could have been unbelievable carnage had he made it into that ballroom with weapons blazing. What are your thoughts about everything from the security around that building to the larger question of funding about to run out, the emergency funding for the Secret Service?
It's impressive. Our Secret Service, our law enforcement, and their ability to not even allow this gentleman to even make it to the floor that the president was on. So I think it's a success, and it should be a reminder to our Democratic colleagues that this is real, and your rhetoric is creating these monsters needs to stop, and these games that you're playing with our funding and could potentially be disastrous for this country. Stop. I think the Democrats need to stop acting like terrorists and start acting like the elected people whose job it is to serve this nation, the public service that they're supposed to be.
And we, the larger question of the political rhetoric. I mean, those on the left say, well, Donald Trump calls people low IQ and calls reporters piggy, and he's got his own brand of personalized epithets and insults. On the other hand, you got Hakeem Jeffries talking about maximum warfare, Jimmy Kimmel in the media saying, parodying a speech at the dinner and saying, I see Melania, expectant widow. I mean, it's just, it's gone over the top, hasn't it? Who brings it back? You, Senator Schmidt, Senator Hawley, Sam Graves, I know you don't speak like that of people. Where are we going to turn this around?
No. And look, I get it. And I'm from Southwest Missouri. The way in which I talk is not exactly like a New Yorker, right? But at the same time, it doesn't excuse any kind of rhetoric that draws people to or calls people to violence. So, would I call somebody a piggy? No. But at the end of the day, calling somebody fat or stupid is not a call for someone to have that person killed. But when you say things like he's Hitler, that he's a threat to our existence, all of the things that the left has been screaming about is meant to radicalize a base, and it's been successful. They've successfully radicalized a militant left, and we continually see all of this violence is not coming from the right; it's coming from the left.
Congressman, give us your take on an update of where we're at with the shutdown and how much more emphasis and direction this points to salaries for the Secret Service after the weekend incident.
Yeah, it's critical that we get this funding. Look, I thought it was a mistake. The Senate made a grave mistake when they split off Homeland Security from the rest of the appropriations, because then you have no leverage over the Democrats. But here we are. And then once again, the Senate puts us in horrible situation by saying, we'll send you a funding bill for most of Homeland, but we're not going to fund ICE and Border Patrol. That has never been done before, that you've split up a budget bill. And it puts us in a horrible situation when we go to pass a new budget, because now you're working at levels that are zero, so no continuing resolution will work. So it's a bad problem that the Senate has put us in, because of their weakness and their inability to fight, and their inability to actually hold the line, and whether it's requiring the Democrats to do a standing talking filibuster, or just staring them down, because it worked back in December. If you recall, the Democrats shut us down, and they were demanding that we extend the enhanced subsidies for Obamacare. We called them out. The moment that LaGuardia was about to shut down the airport in Chuck Schumer's district, the Democrats they caved, and they basically walked away from their demands. We should have learned from that lesson and did rinse and repeat whenever they try to do it again, but we didn't, and but here we are, and so we're faced with a bill that is going to fund everything but ICE and CBP. So what we're also going to do is have to do basically use up an entire reconciliation bill. You don't get one a year. ICE and CBP.
Looks like we're breaking up a little bit there, Congressman.
Sorry, for me.
All right.
There?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Yep. So you were saying that you're sort of basically shooting the whole gun at once over this minor issue, when much more could be done, I guess, right? If we were to focus on some bigger issues.
Absolutely. So I'm using one shot reconciliation for the year. That means we won't get the healthcare reform that we want. It means we won't get the Save America Act. We won't get the housing fixes that we want to get done. So this is a waste. It's a wasted opportunity. But honestly, it's their weak sauce, and they put us in this situation.
Okay, that's Congressman Eric Burleson joining us on Wake Up Missouri.
What's the latest on the missing scientists?
Well, the number keeps growing, and some of the scientists.
All right. Well, Congressman, we're going to have to call you back and see if we can get a better connection. So let's do that. We'll let's try to reconnect here and revisit this conversation about the missing scientists here on Wake Up Missouri.
While we're waiting for that reconnection, can you pull up that clip? I can't get over it.
Yeah, we've got.
We were just talking about how Randy thought voters should be more informed when we're participating.
Yeah. And there's one voter, well, there's actually one voted on that needs to probably go back to school.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
She went to the Leering Center. Apparently, this was last January when Ilhan Omar, our infiltrator from Somalia, the Somalian traitor. Oh, Randy, that inflammatory language. No, she's a traitor for this country. She hates this country. She hates everything this country's about. How she ever got in here, I don't know. But
apparently she needs a little history lesson.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Wow.
Yeah, well, yeah, she probably was one of the sponsors of the Leering Center there in Minneapolis. I don't know.
That's a lot of wars.
It is.
But Congressman Burleson has been really active on the front about these missing scientists. I know that he was been working with this guy who actually, his name was Matthew Sullivan, 39 years old. his cause of death was released just a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago. He was a U.S. Air Force intelligence officer and began, he was going to testify about the UFOs and a concealed program and everything. Well, they announced the cause of death, and maybe he was self-medicating because of all of the pushback and all of the allegations of conspiracy, which maybe in his mind wasn't a conspiracy. It was real. We won't know. But he died at 39 years old of a deadly cocktail of Xanax, cyclobenzaprine, and imipramine, which is so Xanax, of course, is a benzo sedative. Imipramine is an antidepressant, and cyclobenzaprine is otherwise known as Flexeril. Many of you may take that when you get muscle spasms or have problems that way. You take enough of those three together, and you'll stop breathing. So apparently that's what happened. But he had been working with him ahead of that testimony. So I don't know. Where do you stand on that? There's evidence in the past, John, Steph, that the Israelis, the Mossad, took out a scientist from in Germany who were assisting the Egyptians back in the day. And could this be something from a foreign country, a foe, taking out our scientists? Or, worse, talk about an X-Files thing. Is it our own government that doesn't want secrets exposed?
It does sound like an episode of the X-Files.
Where do you stand on that, Stephanie?
Oh, it's awfully coincidental, just the pure number. But at the same time, the question that that no one's answered for me is, what is the universe? When we talk about how many total is it 11? Of these scientists?
11 world wars.
11 world wars.
No, on the scientists.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's 11
It's 11
or 12.
scientists.
Yeah.
Is that 11 out of the possible universe of 500,000 scientists that are in some way connected, or is that 11 out of 50, right? Lots of people die, lots of people are murdered, lots of people commit suicide. So as a percentage, is that is that a lot? I don't know. We don't know what that possible universe is. And until that question is answered, it's hard for me to say that this is something out of the ordinary of the normal population.
Right. Sounds like a scientific study needs to be done to determine whether this is
There's
significant.
no scientists left to do the study, Randy.
Back with the Morning Bell, the market report in a minute.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
stalemate continues in Iran. What are the effects on the market, Stephanie?
Well, despite even as oil prices rose and that we still have stalled peace talks, the S&P and NASDAQ just keep hitting highs. They closed at record highs again yesterday. Pretty surprising. Domino's apparently had a bad day with their earnings report. But again, yesterday we had the Dow down 0.13%, the NASDAQ up 0.20%, and the S&P splitting the difference at up 0.12%. When we look at the sectors, consumer staples had a bad day while communication services was the winner of the day. Now, I found this article on Fox Business, and, I get a little bit of a moment of personal privilege here because it was saying the biggest money mistakes that you make in your 30s and your 40s. But in reading these mistakes, I think perhaps your 20s and your 50s too. So I'm going to say this applies to most people. So there's a new report out that nearly 3/4 of Americans didn't hit their savings or spending goals last year. I want to know what the percentage of people have savings and spending goals for the year, or like investment goals. But I guess for those who do, or like what they always give you those percentages that you're supposed to hit. No one is doing well on these. And so experts are saying there's 5 big mistakes that are wrecking your financial future, but most of them are actually fixable. First, you're waiting too long to invest. Drake, are you listening? A lot of people are sitting on cash instead of investing. And while that sounds safe, it's actually expensive. Obviously, with compound interest, it's not how much you save, it's how early you start. So don't wait. 2, ignoring retirement. A lot of people are doing this, they say, because life is expensive right now. We're paying a lot for gas. We're paying a lot at the grocery store. And a lot of people say, I'll deal with retirement later. Nearly half of the Americans in their 40s don't think they'll have enough to retire. So they said, stock up now. The other thing we're doing, normalizing too much debt. This feels very 2026. We've got credit cards. We've got these new buy now, pay later things, and we have lifestyle creep, right? So even though what we know from all of the data we've been talking about in the last several years, even though we know things are more expensive and people's budgets are tighter, we're still spending like mad around the holidays and elsewhere. So the total U.S. household debt is sitting at $18.8 trillion right now. So they say, don't normalize your debt. Also, get an emergency fund. More than 40% of Americans, the report says, couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency. That means, a large car repair, one medical bill, suddenly you're in debt. So make sure you've got some liquidity. And then they also say, for those of you with kids or wanting kids, don't wait too long to think about college kids. The average family last year spent over $30,000 on college. Tuition is rising. And folks aren't saving early enough. I know I've been saving since the moment my kids are born, and I'm still not going to have enough. So,
and you could potentially have at least a couple of them in school at the same time.
Yeah. One of them has got to, just by virtue of the math, one of them has got in their IQ, one of them's got to get a scholarship, right? That's what I'm banking on.
Do you think
that's not a good financial plan?
I think it's related to the debt, the debt burden people have. Do you think that we need to, I know personally, I think I need to probably adjust. I'm always looking back at the things I buy that I don't really need. I think about the subscriptions that I've forgotten about that I don't use, and I haven't canceled.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that happens. They build up.
So bad.
It's easy to do. So you might want to just think about that. What is really a necessity that we need to make affordable? Our politicians should probably be more vocal about that. Is a subscription to every, whatever, National Geographic or Hallmark or Sports Channel necessary? I don't know. We'll see. Those
Hobby
and other
farmers
questions.
and 6-figure tractors.
Yep.
Has America been fair to Donald
let your rage fuel you. Every time we hear a news story, we let it fuel us. Every time we turn on the news, we let it fuel us. Every time something bad is happening, we say, oh, that's motivation. I'll tell you this, I have an opponent who's incredibly motivated.
That was Governor Abigail Spanberger of Virginia saying, let the rage fuel you. I'd say the rage is on full display throughout these United States, particularly on the left. It's rage. You can talk about Donald Trump being rude and, coarse with his personal attacks on the media and on journalists, calling one of them piggy, and low IQ, this and that. I personally don't think that's very cool, but whatever. It's not like calling for someone's head. It's not saying they're an existential threat to America. It's not calling them Hitler, the most despicable criminals the world has ever seen. But still, the tenor, the tone is very brash and very harsh these days in American political discourse. I'd like to see it a little more, just a little more civil. Certainly policy oriented and going for the jugular from a policy critique special, aspect. But man, it's really something. And the media is largely responsible for this. Joy Reid, it gets worse. I mean, the yarns that they spin, the conspiracy theories that they promulgate. Listen to what Joy Reid said about this assassination attempt and in general, the assassination attempts on Trump.
Don't ask any questions, even though there's just odd things that keep happening around Trump. And we know that Viktor Orban, allegedly, according to Washington Post reporting, there was a plot by the Russians to stage an fake assassination for Orban. So all of this throws in together. You're like, when something seems too perfect, people, they don't believe in it. And Donald Trump now again gets victimized by an alleged would-be assassin in front of the perfect witnesses, the press.
Did she think that the brutal, graphic killing of Charlie Kirk, clearly in Trump's supportive orbit, did she think that was somehow a staged, fake, event? Did Trump commission that just to fuel more solidarity among MAGA? Did she think that it was, the crazed shooter on top of the building in Butler that grazed the president's ear? That was staged, was it, Joy? I mean, these people are sick. Absolutely. I mean, wow. Then you've got Chuck Todd. He's fully exposed himself. This guy was the most embarrassing host Meet the Depressed ever had.
I'm not going to any more events where Trump's at him. I don't feel safe. Wherever Donald Trump
Chaos follows him.
Chaos follows him. And you are less safe, right? If you decide to go into his orbit, you have become less safe.
Well, okay. He's a consequential, high-impact, decisive, controversial leader. Who else can we put in that bucket? The people, as he said the other night, John, that the presidents who have made the biggest impact and taken the most risk with policy moves and, whether it's by executive order, whether it's by, solving conflicts or starting them, or being involved in consequential leadership.
Yeah, he even name-checked Abraham Lincoln.
Well, you have Lincoln. You got Reagan. The Reagan Revolution. It was a political revolution, right? Kennedy. And Kennedy was, remember, the first Catholic president, right? And there were a lot of people that had axes to grind. And there are enough sick people. There always have been.
Even Gerald Ford had a couple of assassination attempts.
It's a dangerous job. And
well, look at Trump back in when he was campaigning in 2016. There was that one British guy who went to point a gun at him. Then there was another deal in Reno when he had somebody come after him. So I would imagine Donald Trump's probably had his fair share of death threats probably long before he ever got into politics.
And don't you think there are many that are plots that are in process that are thwarted that we never hear about?
They pointed to the Iranians for years with Trump saying they were, he was on their list, sort of like they were on our list.
Yeah, and you can't tell me that, the things that is said on the left, which are much more incendiary, they're much more inflammatory than making fun of someone. I disagree with that. I think that gets old. And you can laugh at it and chuckle at it and say it's New York humor. It's not the kind of thing that I would want my kids to be routinely talking about others that way in public. Here's a little chronicle of them with Levitt.
Of maximum warfare everywhere all the time. Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration. Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state. Senator Adam Schiff saying President Trump using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
Well, there you go. I don't think it's the Republicans that are out there looting buildings, having BLM riots. It's not Republicans doing that. And then we played earlier. I mean, I was really startled when this representative from Tennessee said that a journalist at the meeting, at that dinner, he heard this journalist say, well, this.
There was a reporter. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. There was a reporter in the room who was under a table. And when the shots went off and everybody's hiding, she said, I hope they killed the RNGMF. That was a journalist in the room who was hoping that when she stood up, the President of the United States would be dead.
Think about that. Think about that. A reporter who has so much influence over the people that either read or listen to whatever these people write or say, with that kind of a mindset. I thought Obama was just one of the worst things ever happened to this country, mainly because of the health care and the lost opportunity to, as the first black president, to really embrace that. And instead, he took opportunities, think of Trayvon Martin and others, to sort of, I think, fuel the whatever inherent racism still exists, right? And
he played the chameleon role pretty well through his term.
Right. He talked one way at one time and then another way at another time.
Which Barack are we going to get? Are we going to get
right.
the Hood Barack or the Capitol Hill Barack or what?
And you have his wife out there for the first time, I guess, since the first time she was proud of her country. It's interesting. Law degree and, having had a very successful life. And she wasn't proud of her country until her husband, a minority, was elected. I guess it's very interesting. And that's fine. But I called for his magnanimous defeat in 2012. I did all I could to try to undo the lies that were the Obamacare promises. Not once did I say, and I was on the air a lot during that time in a different area, a different city, and in public speeches. I never called for his injury to him. So we've got to change up the rhetoric. It's got to change, and I got to start somewhere. I don't know who's going to do that. We had tax day just passed. Everyone, how many of our Wake Up family aren't mad as hornets at the taxes we pay? If you may not pay federal income tax, but you pay Social Security and Medicare tax. Can't get if you're employed or even if you're self-employed, right? And that's what, 13% cumulatively? Well, if you're self-employed, your employer pays 6.25%, and you pay 6.25% if you're employed, on a W-2. But you don't think that that's money that could be potentially going to your salary instead of to the government on your behalf for Social Security? And we talk about affordability. Steph talked about that during the morning market report. Bill Maher had something to say about that.
someone has to explain the American economy to me. I know I've said this before. I still don't get it. Last week was tax day, and as usual, because HBO is so generous, and I'm sure so will be the new owners, I paid to the government, if you add in state tax, local sales, property, fees, Obamacare, probably almost 60% of what I earn. That's a lot, and I still wouldn't mind if Bernie Sanders would stop saying the rich don't pay taxes. And while I'm sure the super rich with their army of accountants and corporate loopholes get away with murder, us regular rich people pay a ton of taxes. And who stands up and gives us a pat on the back? Nobody, that's who.
It's really true. I know this Wake Up family. There's a lot of small business owners that work their butts off night and day. Their employees are their family. I've been in that position, and you sometimes take out that second loan. You do whatever it takes to keep your company afloat when the tariffs are killing you on your costs and that.
Talk to the average mid-Missouri small business person about how many hours a week they spend at the business or working on stuff for the business.
And they're making a lot of money, and God bless them. I hope they have a boat and a lake house at the lake. I want them, because then that way they can write my check. That's great. I'm working for them, right? But this demonization of, as he says, the sort of rich, the not the ultra rich, and Bill Maher certainly is a wealthy guy, but 60%? Really?
The top 10% pay 72% of all federal income taxes, and the bottom half, 3%. The Democratic Socialists talk about socialism like we don't already have a lot. Social Security, unemployment, Medicare, nutritional assistance, Medicaid, Obamacare, disability, housing subsidies. Again, not against it. Just the same question. How can you be soaking the rich and failing the poor so badly? How can it be that the federal government alone took in over $5 trillion in taxes last year, and we still need that? Are we really this incompetent and corrupt? Don't answer that. But here's the truth. You're not going to get health care to these people by threatening to tax and eat the rich. You raise billionaires' taxes, they just leave the state.
There's one thing that he's wrong about. He's right about everything he said. We live in a redistributionist society. The one thing about it is he thinks that just with enough, and this is pretty much the way the left thinks, just with enough regulation, a few more rules, some more bills, a better regulatory apparatus, a bigger bureaucracy, we can reduce the corruption. Ask Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's looking at Medicare fraud, hospice fraud. Ask them that are looking at the daycare fraud in Somalia, up in Minneapolis. Big government, by definition, is corrupt. That's why the Constitution that we're going to celebrate at the Ice Cream Social tonight and the America's 250 original founding of limited government is so vitally important. Come out to the American Legion Post at 5:30 tonight. Enjoy it. Be back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
America 250 Ice Cream Social tonight. Columbia, American Legion Post at 5:30. There's more information on our website. TPUSA, Wake Up Missouri, Boone County Central Committee, Republicans. Lisa Gore and Robin have done a great job putting that together. And Paige Schulte from TPUSA. There'll be, we'll have 3 candidates for the new redistricted district, John, including, I understand that Brad Patty will be there, Taylor Burks, Rick Bratton will be there, Senator Bratton, and other dignitaries will be there. Hope you come by and say hi. Peter and I will be there. And Drake, you going to hang out with us, or you got something else? No, you can be there. Ice cream.
Preoccupied.
You want me to put I'll save some ice cream for you.
Please don't. Actually,
I think we have. Apparently, Robin has a lot of Tiger ice cream. Lisa, there's going to be a cornhole game donated for a door prize. We got some stuff from the Eagle, Cardinals tickets, Eagle T-shirts. So there'll be some lot of fun. Doesn't cost you a thing. Coming out, have some ice cream and
politics
and let's celebrate the founding of our country. Also, coming up, Jennifer Bukowski's in for Gary Nolan. I wonder if she'll have anything to say about the Supreme Court decision endorsing, validating that Texas redistricting map. So it's a go.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get Jen's take on it.
Yeah. And about the shooter up there, and I mean, being a criminal defense attorney, she'll know about those charges. One of them's a life thing. Other than that, threatening to assassinate the president, and then there's the interstate gun deals. But she'll know all about that. So Jennifer coming up with Gary at 9:05 or so. Yep. What do you have for leftover, Mr. Drake?
All right. Well, I have a lot, but we're only going to stick with one. It's the biggest pop culture thing right now. Klay Thompson, you may know him from winning multiple championships with Golden State, NBA player, stud. He cheated on Megan Thee Stallion, which
what a surprise.
Yeah.
An NBA cheating on his girlfriend.
Yeah, well, our boss, Peter, came in and said that she's the hottest woman alive. Now, Randy, have you seen a picture of her before?
I haven't seen a picture. Who is it?
Megan Thee Stallion. I don't think she's that hot. That's going to be my controversial
take. Is she a rapper
or
what?
Yeah, yes. Hip-hop. Whatever.
I wouldn't know about her.
She looks like she's like one of those girls that you'd find at the local gentleman's club. I mean, I don't get it, why everyone's so infatuated by her, but all the women around everywhere are saying that men are terrible now. They're going back to that, and that no one knew who Klay Thompson was before he dated her.
Yeah,
so
there's sort of just that look that the influencers have and the celebrities, right? It's a lot like who's got the longest eyelashes, right? Who can do that?
And who can like keep their eyes closed the most but also see. I feel like that's a big thing.
Talk about, it's funny how you see these gals that are like being objectified, and then the other part of the women's movement says, don't objectify us. I don't know.
Unless you really mean it.
Right. I don't know. We can't win for losing, can we, guys?
Well, it doesn't seem like it.
If we look at your beautifulness, we're objectifying. If we don't look at your beautifulness, you don't care. You don't love me. We can't get it right. All right, let's see what Jen has to say about the goings-on in our tipsy world on the Gary Nolan Show coming up. Thanks for being here. See you tonight at the Social. Bye.